Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. 98% of people are living their life on autopilot. This means that people are living the same day on repeat. Wake up at 8 a.m., drink the same coffee, take the same commute to work, deal with the same BS from your boss and coworkers just to come home, eat like crap, scroll, go to bed, and repeat it. Now, I know 100% of people do not want to be living this life. I was in a similar situation. In 2024, I was addicted to smoking weed. I was at the peak of my entrepreneurial game, but I was a slave to my own impulses. I couldn't stop with the partying. I couldn't stop with the escapism, and I had this deep void in myself. I was a slave to an old identity I knew I needed to kill once and for all. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how you can use proven neuroscience methods through Dr. Joe Dispenza and ageless, timeless spiritual teachings to finally get rid of your old self and unlock the version of yourself you've always wanted to be. Now, we need to break down some fundamental core things, 3 key pieces of information that we're going to cover throughout this video so you can see the transformation you are looking for. Now, you need to realize that your thoughts, emotions, and actions are a memorized pattern, right? We think we're living life every single day, but it's an unconscious pattern. Now, how is this operating? The neuroscience underlying this core piece of information is the fact that your thoughts are taking immaterial energy and turning it into physical matter. Right? So we are manifesting this old identity when we are thinking certain thoughts and feeling certain emotions. Now, how could this be? Your thoughts start as energetic potential. This is what Joe Dispenza alludes to in the quantum field, and we're going to get to there, how you can tap into infinite potential, but we need to have this core piece of understanding first. Your thoughts turn into a frequency that you're calling upon from whatever familiar thoughts you're used to, right? These thoughts then go to certain receptors in the body and create a chemical reaction. And as Joe Dispenza says, the pharmacy of chemicals in your body creates the feelings that we're used to. Now, the more we feel the anxiety, the more we feel the shame, the more we feel the guilt, the more we're gonna think thoughts. So we are stuck on this unconscious loop. Now, the first step is awareness, right? To be unconscious is to be unaware of these patterns in our everyday life. So how do we become aware of them? We label them and we address them and we bring them to our conscious awareness like we are doing right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick moment because if you want to actually master these principles in everyday life, I'm hosting a live workshop that is completely free this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you show up, we're gonna break down everything detachment, surrender, and letting go so you can break free from these old, outdated identities. You can let go of your unconscious limiting beliefs, and you can finally step into the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I'm gonna do it by breaking down the super simple 3 tools that you can use in everyday life to actually start living these teachings and not just consuming them in the form of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Now back to the video. Now you need to realize your body has become conditioned to these familiar emotions. Normally, when you are consciously living, you are making elevated decisions through your mind to set your body into motion. But because we become so addicted to this familiar experience, our body is actually running the show unconsciously now. So we need to figure out how to dissolve the emotional patterns in the body so we're no longer thinking negative thoughts, and we can start choosing through conscious action in this moment the direction we want to go in our everyday life. Now, we're going to use neuroscience to break down the fundamental pieces of information so you can have awareness of what's actually going on. Then I'm going to call on universal timeless principles from the sages like Buddha, Lao Tzu, Jesus. So you have a proper fundamental understanding of life in this experience because it's not just a material experience, and that's what Dr. Joe Dispenza alludes to, is that 99.9% of our experience is actually energy. The core shift that you need to understand is that this material world is actually all energetic. It's all resonant frequencies, right? A physical thing, this table right here, is actually just a dense frequency. Now, think about other things like love, joy, peace, and freedom, which is probably the state you want to rise into. These are higher frequencies. They do not hold a material form. They hold an energetic form that we experience as energy, right? Emotion, energy in motion. So if we are living a life of shame, guilt, fear, we're having a denser emotional experience because those experiences are slow, arduous, painful, and rooted in suffering. Now, the higher states are joy, freedom, abundance. And these are the states that the sages were trying to guide us to. So we're going to use that wisdom to get there. But you need to understand the core shift on the fabric level of our reality that truly changed the game. And Joe Dispenza is the first one to start bridging science and spirituality. Not the first one, but the one to hit millions of people and start bringing this information to people. The reason he introduces you to the quantum model, right, the electron cloud, is because he wants to show you that nothing is actually set in stone. An outdated paradigm of reality is believing that life just is. It's a mechanistic view of the universe. It's like that old, outdated science project we used to do with the atom, with the protons and neutrons cycling around the nucleus. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the fabric of our experience on the electron cloud level is actually 99.9% energy, meaning the electron cloud is more no thing than it is something, right? It is not physical matter until we engage with something called the observer effect. The whole reason we need to understand this is because you are living in a cause and effect first reality. This is an outdated paradigm. Why is this so important? Because you think once you get the six-pack abs, once you get the big house, once you get the money, once you get the fast car, you're finally going to experience the peace, joy, and freedom you wanted. Well, Joe Dispenza says you need to become so present and so in love with this moment, regardless of what's going on, you don't even want those things anymore. Now, why would he say this? Because the quantum model is the idea that in this moment, life is energetically manifesting in the form of frequency. So if we're anxious, shameful, and in a state of guilt, that's the thing that's manifesting. So we need to go within our inner world to actually do the change, to actually do the work, and to actually see the transformation we are looking for. So I want you to make a promise to me before we go any further into this video. You got to let go of all the noise from the outer world. Put your phone down, unplug from social media, and be present with me, because the present moment is the only place you can experience transformation. You got to let go of your desires for that girl to text you back. Let go of your desires to have the fancy Rolex, to have the $100,000 a month in business. Those are the things that are keeping you trapped to this cause and effect model. Because the cause and effect model is trying to change the 3D world. Well, I just told you, the 3D world is only 0.0001% of our experience. Because the physical matter is such a dense state of energy, it's not encapsulating the other 99.9% of energetic spiritual states that we go all the way up to the most spiritual experience that people like Jesus, Buddha, and Krishna had. So we're not going to try and be Jesus, Buddha, and Krishna, but we're going to try and take these timeless principles and figure out how to use them in everyday life, and that's what we're going to do. So let's cover it. What did we just talk about? One, your thoughts and emotions are patterns. That's the problem. And because you're unaware of them, you're living out the same Groundhog's Day on autopilot. Wake up, go to work, hate your life, sleep, wake up, go to work, hate your life, sleep, right? We don't want life to be like that. Life can be peaceful. I'm in Puerto Escondido, Mexico right now, and I'm surprised I have a shirt on because I live at the beach every day. I get to go to the gym, I get to experience peace, I get to read my books, I get to work on a business I'm passionate about, and it all started with this information for me. Because I used to be $80,000 in debt, 40 pounds overweight, and I used to be a victim to the endless treadmill of entrepreneurial new revenue goals. And I had to free myself from that unconscious pattern because that's what I was living out. I was in a state of scarcity, a state of fear, a state of lack that I was going to lose my business at these high revenue months. And because I was trying to run away from that, I'd smoke weed, I'd drink, I'd party, I'd engage in escapism. And because my actions were reflecting what was manifesting on an energetic level in the form of my thoughts and emotions, I became a victim to this identity that was holding me back. So we need to figure out how we're going to kill that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick moment because if you want to actually master these principles in everyday life, I'm hosting a live workshop that is completely free this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you show up, we're going to break down everything detachment, surrender, and letting go so you can break free from these old, outdated identities. You can let go of your unconscious limiting beliefs, and you can finally step into the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I'm going to do it by breaking down super simple 3 tools that you can use in everyday life to actually start living these teachings and not just consuming them in the form of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Now back to the video. Now, we need to realize that we are stuck in the past. We are living out past patterns in the present moment. So we're living out this old identity that you know is a past version of yourself, but you just can't seem to figure out why you're still stuck with it. And that's what we're going to talk about. This is how to kill your old self, because we need to let go of it entirely to experience the transformation we're looking for. Now, your body is anchored in the past. Your mind, the more continuously you think certain thoughts, is an artifact. Think about what an artifact is from ancient Rome. An old piece of pottery or an old set of armor. It's something we use to label a period in the past. Your mind, through thinking continuous thoughts, is creating these neural pathways in your brain. Think about it like skiing down fresh snow. The more consistently you take a certain path down the mountain, the more deep and programmatic and predictable the path is going to be in the form of thoughts. The more consistently you think these thoughts, the more consistently you're going to produce that chemical experience in the form of emotions in your body. The more consistently we produce the emotional experience, the more our body thinks that's a state of homeostasis. So your body actually thinks your everyday life and your old pattern is normal. It thinks it's something that it needs to maintain because you're telling it, hey, this is what I want to be every day. So body, you better create this, because as soon as we try and be different, you enter fight or flight. Even though you try and make positive decisions for yourself, your body still perceives it as a threat. Now, change feels uncomfortable because it is unfamiliar. This is one of the biggest things you need to understand. Your body is going to experience heightened states of stress when you try and take it out of what it's used to. So the moment you step out of your old identity, your body's going to signal this discomfort. And it's going to try and release more thoughts and release more emotions to bring you back into this moment to recreate the experience that you do not want. Now, this is the turning point. This is how we step into a true state of transformation and start to experience the present moment, where we have a clean slate and we're no longer governed by these outdated patterns and predictable realities. You have to begin to see that your identity is learned. It's not fixed. And we can look at this in multiple ways, right? It's learned because we're thinking the same thoughts and emotions. It's learned because it's the only thing we're used to, and we don't have any sense or stack of evidence that it is otherwise, right? And because it's the thing we see every day, and because we're so identified with the material world in the form of 3D, the same people, places, and things, we're like, there's no way I could ever be different. This is all I'm used to. So we need to take it into the inner world. We need to start changing the inner experience you have every day, because we're not going to be able to change the 3D world just yet. The 3D world is a byproduct of the inner shift, right? This is a spiritual concept, the law of mentalism. The universe is all mind. Any change you want has to start in this moment in the form of an immaterial goal, an immaterial intention, an immaterial download from a higher state of consciousness, right? So knowing this, your personality is your personal reality. How you think, act, and feel is a predictable set of programs that we've learned, and it's what you're used to. So this is where we have to kill our old self. We kill our old self by introducing a spiritual concept that we find in meditation, right? This is why Joe Dispenza guides us through meditations. Because the goal is to become aware of these patterns, aware of how we think the same thoughts, aware of how we feel the same emotions, aware of how we take the same actions. But here's the beautiful thing, is you don't have to go become some saint to see this type of transformation. You begin rewiring your brain through neuroplasticity by the act of actually undoing, of non-doing. So as soon as a familiar thought comes up or a familiar emotion comes up, if you just observe it and let it naturally take its course and do not take action on it, right? For me, this would have been back in my downtown penthouse in San Diego. It'd be 11:30 and I'd be like, all right, I need to smoke a little weed. I feel anxious, I feel uncomfortable. I need to smoke weed, right? My body's trying to set me into a predictable pattern. I'd slow down, stop, and breathe, and try and come back into this moment where I experience peace. And when you can surrender and let go of the things that are holding on to this familiar identity, the thoughts and emotions, you're gonna realize you have a clean slate in the now. So you can be like, hey, I'm gonna make a decision not to smoke this weed. And I'm just gonna go to bed, I'm gonna wake up, and I'm gonna make a vote for who I wanna be in this now. But if I was so entrenched and plugged into the matrix of the 3D world, where I was believing the thoughts were me and I was believing the emotions were me, then I was for sure gonna collapse that action into motion and smoke that weed. Now that's not what we want to do. You need to recognize that your current self cannot create your new future. The level of consciousness you have, or the level of awareness you have now, is the thing that is associated with your old identity. So we need to upgrade our operating system entirely. Now, how do we do this? If you keep thinking, acting, and feeling the same way, you'll keep producing the same results. A new life requires a new identity, not through more effort, but in a different state of being. Now, this is how we can unlock a life that is more effortless, more peaceful, and less stressful, because we can do simple things every day that have high ROI, right? Meditation has super high ROI because you become aware of your thoughts, you become aware of your emotions, and you're no longer going to be governed by the same familiar patterns. But the only way you do this is to realizing that the source is internal. What you've been seeking externally, peace, clarity, and fulfillment, was never going to be an achievement or another outcome. It was never going to come on the other side of more money, more watches, more cars, more validation through social media followers. Peace, clarity, and fulfillment exists as a state that we unlock in this moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick moment because if you want to actually master these principles in everyday life, I'm hosting a live workshop that is completely free this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you show up, we're gonna break down everything detachment, surrender, and letting go so you can break free from these old, outdated identities. You can let go of your unconscious limiting beliefs, and you can finally step into the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I'm gonna do it by breaking down super simple 3 tools that you can use in everyday life to actually start living these teachings and not just consuming them in the form of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Now back to the video. And it's a natural state that is found in stillness. It is found in presence. Because as soon as we let go of those attachments, we realize those attachments were the thing giving us the experience we didn't want. And because we stopped wanting and we stopped needing, we became whole in this moment. And it's the moment you stop chasing and you start turning inwards to this awareness and presence and observation that you truly set free. Now, this is the transformational mechanism. We've built up to the point where you have a foundational understanding of true change, all right? Now let's talk about what mechanism do you need to be doing every day to experience peace, clarity, and fulfillment. You have to shift from control to observation, because control is a mechanism of the ego. Instead of trying to fix things or force things to change, you have to step back and observe your thoughts. This creates separation between you and the old patterns. Think about what a reaction is. You have this familiar experience, this familiar emotion, this familiar thought, and you react to it, to reaction, to partake in a similar familiar action, to react. So what we need to do is we need to create a gap between the impulse and trigger and the action we take. Now, what happens in between an impulse and an action when we observe and we create space? We're literally creating space to observe it, to make a conscious decision to where we're no longer collapsing a reaction in emotion and we can respond accordingly to our conscious desires and intentions. The thoughts will try and pull you back. The old patterns will arise. The emotions will try and reattach you to the past. That's what your body's trying to do. It's a survival mechanism. But instead of resisting or feeding them, you simply notice them. And it is the noticing that creates a state of observation, where you are separate from your old identity. This is how we kill it. We observe it. You are observing old thoughts and emotions. And because you are aware of it, you are now separate. You are in this new present moment that Joe Dispenza talks about. Through observation, through unconditioned awareness, right? These are conditions. The same thoughts, the same emotions, the same people, places, and things. These are the conditions that you're using to validate your identity. When we observe them, we're aware of the conditions, and now we have an unconditioned state of awareness in this present moment. Let's call it the clean slate protocol. Observation gives you a clean slate to make decisions when you're aware of your old patterns. Through this observation, you return to the present moment as a reset point, the clean slate protocol. The present moment is the only place not defined by your past. When you fully arrive here without resistance, without needing anything to change, you access a clean slate. From this state, new choices become available because you're not experiencing the emotional pull or the chaos in your mind of the old patterns. You're observing them and be like, oh my God, I just became aware of the fact that I almost went and bought that joint. I became aware of the fact that I almost went and got junk food instead of going home and eating something clean. Now, from this, we create a new way of being. You begin to generate a state from within that is no longer dependent upon external people, places, and things. Instead of waiting for life to change your emotions, you intentionally create feelings like peace, gratitude, and clarity. This shift from reacting to life to creating your experience is how we go from a state of survival to a state of creation, like Dispenza talks about. Now, how do we unlock this? Like I described at the beginning, energy is a spectrum, right? On the lower level frequencies, we're engaged with the world of matter. We believe the thoughts to be our identity. We experience the emotions and think they're us. We see the same people, places, and things, and we're like, oh, that's the old me. I can't run away from that because I'm still hanging out with the same bums at the same bar. No, through observation, we naturally rise. Because you're holding on to your old identity, I want you to think about it like a beach ball. You're sitting in the water, and you're using force, resistance, and control to hold on to this beach ball. When you let go of the thoughts and emotions and behaviors that once governed you, that beach ball naturally shoots up because your natural state is pure awareness, pure consciousness. This is what the quantum field is. The quantum field is... When I truly learned to let go and surrender all of my desires, all of my attachments, everything in my life changed for good. It was like my entire reality was flipped up on its head. Because in 2022, I was $80,000 in debt, 30 pounds overweight, addicted to smoking, addicted to drinking, and I couldn't escape that old version of me. And I was so burnt out on the achievement. I've always been a young entrepreneur. And I just couldn't climb any more rungs of the ladder because my soul was being consumed alive. And I just knew there had to be a better way to go about life. I knew there had to be a more efficient, more effortless, more engaged with the flow and natural divine intelligence that is guiding all things. And I can tell you on the other side of my journey that there is. I've sold all my stuff, moved to Mexico. I run a business I love on the internet, teaching people about inner peace, surrender, and letting go. And I'm going to teach you how to actually let go and actually experience the law of detachment so you can restore inner peace to your life. You can restore inner freedom. You can restore a healthy, regulated nervous system to where you're able to be present and actually enjoy your life. But not only that, actually leverage the power of detachment to where you become magnetic to all things. So the first thing I want to do is break down the law of detachment. The law of detachment is the idea that when you surrender all of your desires, when you surrender all of your attachments to people, places, and things outside of yourself, you restore an energetic state of wholeness and abundance. Because think about it, when you truly let go of your attachment to getting that text back from your romantic partner, when you truly let go of that attachment that you need to have $100 million in your bank account, when you truly let go of your attachment to how big your house needs to be or how fast your car needs to be, your identity and self-worth and energy, attention, and focus is no longer separated and fragmented onto a future thing. And this goes for things in the past too. If you're upset with yourself that you've just not been able to break the cycle of drinking and smoking, even though you've been able to achieve all these X, Y, and Z material things, that's okay too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick moment because if you want to actually master these principles in everyday life, I'm hosting a live workshop that is completely free this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you show up, we're gonna break down everything detachment, surrender, and letting go so you can break free from these old, outdated identities. You can let go of your unconscious limiting beliefs, and you can finally step into the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I'm gonna do it by breaking down super simple 3 tools that you can use in everyday life to actually start living these teachings and not just consuming them in the form of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Now back to the video. If you reflect on a relationship you had with a girl 3 years ago and you're like, she was the one that was gonna have the children, she was the one that was gonna be my wife, like, that's okay too. But we're still casting our energy on a moment in the past, just like we're casting our energy in a moment in the future. So our attachments aren't necessarily to physical things, they're to ideas, they're to thoughts, and they're to emotions that are dictating our inner state. But that's because we're engaged with the illusion of the material world. When we bear the entire responsibility of life itself, and we're so consumed with our egoic self, we think it's us versus the world. And one of the most peaceful things that has kind of helped reorient and reshape my entire identity and existence is just kind of falling into the natural intelligence, the Tao, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to believe in. To truly surrender and submit to a source bigger than yourself liberates you of a lot of tension. Liberates you on an identity level. Liberates you on a misconstrued identity of yourself that you're so burnt out and fed up with. If you're watching this, you're probably just like me. You are probably so burnt out on the endless striving for more. The endless need to make more money, to buy more things, to pay more bills, to just float by to next month and ask the question, what is the whole point of this life? Well, I was genuinely getting sick in my mind and body from the endless pursuit of more. Not only that, but I had the things that I wanted. I had a business doing multiple 6 figures a month. I had the dream apartment, the same bullshit story that everyone's trying to sell you on the internet so they can make a little money. And it made me sick. But deep down in my heart, I knew there was an answer to living a life of more effortless peace, joy, success, and abundance, but in a non-traditional way. Where I'd wake up every morning and not feel this existential dread and anxiety sitting on my chest. I'd have no need to be anywhere else with someone else doing something else, so I could slow down and read a book and have my morning coffee and just be here now. A life where I finally discovered peace of mind. and experience the death of striving and the need of achievement in the process. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know now that the key to the transformation you seek is detachment, letting go, and surrendering. Now, before I get into detaching and what you can do to master the art of letting go and surrender, if you want a full breakdown, like a side-by-side guide to go along in this video so you can actually go through the teachings and set into action some of the practices we're going to talk about, click the first link in the description and you'll get a free guide that is a companion guide for this video. I'm going to let you know a few realizations I had to come upon to evolve and get to a place where I could truly experience the benefit of living this type of life. Well, you need to realize that it's the pursuit that creates the pain. You have pain because you're telling yourself on the other side of a salary, on the other side of a red sports car, a bigger house, a little societal validation, then you'll be able to experience peace, joy, and freedom. You are creating a psychic gap in your mind, telling yourself that, well, I know that the only thing I have right now is the present moment. But over here in this future that only exists in my mind, fueled by my ego, when I get the red sports car, get the big house, get the more money, then joy will find me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, we're going to break down how you can collapse that gap and start to experience peace of mind, joy, and freedom in this moment. Now, I came to the realization that you are instantly and infinitely more attractive when you need nothing. When you need nothing, you are moving through life whole. As you are. You have nothing to take from someone, you have nothing that needs to be validated, you have nowhere to be and nothing to do. So you show up with 100% of your energy, authentically. Whether you're quirky, geeky, confident, it does not matter, because if you're being authentic in who you are, 100% of your energy is showing up, and that's magnetic because you are coherent and you are in this moment, and that is something that 99% of people are not. I came to the realization that you are infinitely more successful when you take time to focus on well-being in your mind, body, soul, and relationships, and not just focus on material and financial success. And I also came to the realization that you are infinitely more abundant when you free yourself from attachment to external desires. Because you've got 3 to 5 things that you're holding in your mind that are core desires of your ego, preventing you from enjoying life now. And when you free yourself of those 3 to 5 things, you're going to have an infinite amount of small things that happen every day that bring an immense sense of gratitude, peace, and purpose into your life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick moment, because if you want to actually master these principles in everyday life, I'm hosting a live workshop that is completely free this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you show up, we're going to break down everything detachment, surrender, and letting go, so you can break free from these old, outdated identities. You can let go of your unconscious limiting beliefs, and you can finally step into the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I'm going to do it by breaking down super simple 3 tools that you can use in everyday life to actually start living these teachings and not just consuming them in the form of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Now back to the video. Now, if you stick around, my goal is to give you the secrets to living a life of detachment. But before I can do that, I need to show you why most people don't experience the reward of detachment. Now, like me, at one point, 99% of people study spirituality and detachment and manifestation because they have a core desire, a sense of lack within themselves. So they're looking to use these tools as another means to an end, to gain something, right? To gain the dream partner, to gain the money, to gain the influence. That once again, they think on the other side of these things, they will find joy, success, and happiness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but is your energy or desire for these things that creates an inner sense of lack? Now, I want to let you know that in this moment, in this present moment, where you are not fragmenting your thoughts and fragmenting your emotions off onto a future date or a judgment of the past, you have 100% of your energy here and now. But it's because that you've cast 15% of your self-worth onto the dollar, 25% of your self-worth onto a romantic partner, and 10% of your self-worth onto your six-pack abs, that you've lost 50% of your energy, you lost half the pie to things that do not exist here and now. So no wonder you're feeling an inner sense of lack, because you've cast 50% of your energy and wholeness onto things that are only constructs and paradigms of your mind that you're feeling with this inner state of lack. Now, your lack is fueled by this illusion that you have created in your mind. Because if you are telling yourself your joy is in the future, no wonder you're never going to feel it in the present moment. Because the future is a fleeting thing, just like the past does not exist anymore. All we have is this present moment. So if you're chasing something, someone, or a place outside of yourself, you will never feel the fulfillment or joy that comes with being present here and now. and the gifts and miraculous way of living that comes from living a spiritual, surrendered, detached life. Now, detachment is only for those who truly want peace. So if you actually want to get something out of this that is other than peace of mind, and if you're not truly fed up with the burnout and exhaustion that comes with living the corporate 9-to-5, oh my God, let me keep up with the Joneses in the Western civilization. And if you're someone who has actually made it to your wit's end, detachment is for you and it will truly liberate you. But if you still have those cheap, immature desires for more money, more success, more clout, more material things, I'm gonna have to ask you to click off of this video right now, because you're gonna have to go through a few more cycles of attaining the things you want to realize that the peace, joy, and fulfillment you seek is not in those things, and then come back to this video. Now, if you believe you're truly ready to experience peace, freedom, and surrender that comes with detachment, I need to show you the trap that we must free ourselves from to experience peace of mind and freedom. Now, I have lived this trap because a year ago, I was trapped in a perpetual state of stress and chaos. I'd wake up every morning and have this immense weight on my chest. It was a suffocating responsibility to wake up and attain. I had KPIs I need to hit. I had revenue goals I need to hit. I mean, I didn't even get to enjoy my business at the peak. We were making $267,000 a month. We do webinars and make $45,000 in an hour, and I didn't stop to smell the roses because my body was in this state of survival. Because I was in such a state of a lack and fear, I was chasing all these external things to try and fill that void within myself, right? Whether that was in the form of business success or having a high-rise apartment or getting in shape or having the most attractive girl in town, right? It was all coming from a sense of lack, a void within myself that I couldn't escape. But looking back on it now, I realized it was my desire and attachment to those things that was causing the loop I was trying to grow from. I had 100K followers, I worked with the biggest creators, and I was making great money, but I was addicted to smoking weed and drinking. I was literally a slave to my impulses. Because I was so uncomfortable and anxious, I needed anything to numb myself. The weed, the drinking, the market that was 100 yards from my house where I'd go get snacks late at night when I couldn't go to sleep, the endless Uber Eats expenses that I incurred. I was consuming this cheap, unhealthy food. I was 30 pounds overweight. And I was just like running from myself because I kept telling myself that on the other side of these achievements, the money, the bigger business, then I would have the free time to finally prioritize my mental health, physical health, and emotional health. But those days would never come because I was forever chasing an illusory moment in the future. Now, I had an inner void of lack that dictated everything I did, and it was an unconscious pattern that governed my thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and actions. So this was the trap that I had to become aware of. I was afraid to face the harsh truth that I was wasting my life pursuing things that wouldn't matter when I was on my deathbed. Now, if you feel like you were on a runaway train, just like I was, I want to give you the key to learning how to find inner peace and actually free yourself in this moment. But you're going to have to throw the old paradigm out of the window. So I want to teach you how to bridge the gap so you can experience peace, joy, and freedom now. It was the fact I placed my happiness on a future purchase, a future event, or a future goal that fueled my inability to experience peace, joy, and fulfillment in the now. Because I told myself that on the other side of 100K a month, then I'd finally have the financial freedom and peace of mind to take care of my body and take care of my mind. But even when I hit $100,000 a month, I never found joy because I was still operating from a state of lack. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick moment because if you want to actually master these principles in everyday life, I'm hosting a live workshop that is completely free this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you show up, we're gonna break down everything detachment, surrender, and letting go so you can break free from these old, outdated identities. You can let go of your unconscious limiting beliefs, and you can finally step into the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I'm gonna do it by breaking down super simple 3 tools that you can use in everyday life to actually start living these teachings and not just consuming them in the form of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Now back to the video. I had to realize that I created the gap between me and joy. It was money, material things, and success that created this immaterial psychic gap in my mind. The ego found 101 things to fuel this gap, but it was still the concept that I was casting my joy, fulfillment, peace of mind, and freedom on a future moment. That was creating this unconscious lack within my everyday life. Because it was never going to be the revenue, material purchase, or future event that the ego used to validate the experience. It was the act that it forever felt this insecurity. That it would look for another thing after I hit the revenue goal, look for another thing after I bought the downtown apartment to finally be like, okay, well now you can go get the girlfriend and then you won't feel empty. But if you're moving through life, have you ever wondered why, in the most famous book of all time, we were instructed to seek the kingdom of God first and his righteousness, and the rest shall be added onto us? This is Matthew 6:33 in the Bible. But I also want to highlight the fact that in Vedic traditions it says, when all desires that dwell in the heart are cast away, then the mortal becomes immortal and attains Brahman here. Brahman is the Vedic God, the eternal self. In Taoism it says, to the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. So, ladies and gentlemen, over the course of this video, I want to show you how you can step into the kingdom of heaven. You can fall into a natural, effortless flow of life. And in that process, you'll discover peace, you'll discover wholeness. Life will restore its wonder, its magic, and its majestic nature that it is your divine right. And this is going to require an entire paradigm shift, so I want you to be present with me. I want you to leave everything you know at the door, because I'm going to call on a multitude of teachings, a multitude of religions, and a multitude of teachers so I can highlight a one core truth that is within you. Because the kingdom of God is within, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it says in Luke 17:21. Well, if the kingdom of God is within, then we need to stop going outside of ourselves to look for these answers, because it will never be outside of ourselves. That's why we have religious wars. That's why we have holy wars. That's why everyone in my comments up in arms, because they're like, do you believe in this one God? You guys, it's the externalization of this truth in the form of false idols and belief systems that is the reason you will never truly find peace and be set free in the kingdom. I'm telling you that right now. Even Jesus is like, the way is straight and narrow, but don't come to me. He's like, I am not your savior. He says, you must go within yourself to find this straight and narrow path. Now, if you're ready to actually engage with the practices of learning to become more present and unlock that state of being in which you can find the kingdom of heaven that is within, click the first link in the description and join my free Telegram channel. We've almost got 200 people in there, and we're talking about surrender and letting go and learning to fall into the unified moment where we find the kingdom of heaven and we can finally experience peace, joy, and freedom. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, check it out in the link. Now, I'm going to be clear and upfront right now. I believe in gnosis. Gnosis is direct internal experience with these states. I believe every core religion has its truth. And I believe you should believe in whatever God is going to get you closer to this truth and aid you on your journey. But the eventual conclusion you will come to is that it was all within you. So this is for the true seeker. And those of you can say whatever you want in my comments, but there are people that are actually looking for peace. People that actually want freedom. People that actually want to be freed from the chains and attachments of life that cause so much suffering. Because whatever's going on in the world right now is clearly outdated. It is clearly a flawed system that has led a majority of the populace in the wrong direction. It is the blind leading the blind. So hopefully you can hear some truth in my voice and my word. And hopefully you know on a soul-to-soul level that I'm speaking from a place of experience and I'm speaking from a place that I know to be true. So let's get back into these core teachings, right? We're going to call on the Bible, we're going to call on Vedic tradition, right? The Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, Buddhism, Taoism. We'll even call on the Sufi and Islamic mysticism, because it's all saying the same thing, just from different perspectives, all different parcels and sections of a grand tapestry that unite us, that bring us closer to the wholeness that we seek. We'll even call on Joe Dispenza. In the Bible, it says, set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. So in order for you to access the kingdom of heaven, we need to start here. You need to realize that the true problem is that we keep focusing on the problem, right? We are so entrapped by the material world, the earthly world, the desires, that I need to make more money to be happy, that I need a red sports car, that I need a validation from this boy or girl in my romantic life to feel any type of sense of self-worth. It is the fact that we are trying to change the earthly realm that is causing us suffering. Because our spirit and our soul has become entrapped in the material world. This is the caduceus, right? You've ever seen the image of the two serpents wound up? The spirit and matter have come intertwined. Think about it. You are a soul right now. You're watching this content, which tells me you're a spiritual seeker. But I'm sure you're also entrapped by the trappings of the material world, right? The lust for sex, the cravings for food, the self-judgments of what you see in the mirror when you cheat on your fitness and your diet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those are earthly things. And we are called to place our mind on heavenly things, because what happens when we place our mind on heavenly things? We are set free. We start to repattern our mind. We start to experience the reprogramming that all of these neuroscience gurus and all these scientific teachers are telling you about. But what's so tough about engaging with the earthly things is even the physical matter, right? It's even focusing on our brain. That is an earthly thing. It's even focusing on the concept of reprogramming our body. That's an earthly thing. You need to focus on divine things because it's the one true state, right? It's the higher principles that are less distorted by the entrapments of the ego. That's why I'm sure when you watch my content, you probably feel a sense of unity. You probably feel a sense of peace. And it's not because I'm your guy. I am not your guru. But it's because I'm just choosing to reflect back to you more eternal and whole truths that I know to be true through my own experience with Gnosis. And it is the only thing that has led me an ounce closer to freedom, joy, and peace. So why would I lie to you? Why would I become some victim to some outdated religious structure or false idols when I've had the direct experience and I can merely just reflect that to you? And if you want the experience, follow me. And if you're going to go search the world for more earthly things, more power to you, because that's part of your journey. When you set your mind on things above, you free yourself of the entrapments of the ego, right? The ego is attached to the people, places, and things outside of ourselves. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick moment because if you want to actually master these principles in everyday life, I'm hosting a live workshop that is completely free this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you show up, we're going to break down everything detachment, surrender, and letting go so you can break free from these old, outdated identities. You can let go of your unconscious limiting beliefs, and you can finally step into the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I'm going to do it by breaking down super simple 3 tools that you can use in everyday life to actually start living these teachings and not just consuming them in the form of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Now back to the video. But it says to seek the kingdom of God first and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto us. This is a direct parallel to that of placing our mind on heavenly things versus placing our mind on earthly things. Because if you place your mind on heavenly things, you're going to seek the kingdom of God first. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It says that the kingdom of God is within you. Okay, so let's start there. That means we have to go within to look for the answers. Now, when we go within, we're going to have to be able to decipher earthly things, entrapments of the ego, from the heavenly things, the eternal truth that unite us in Brahman, right? This is what the Vedic traditions are about. Essentially, the greatest conclusion they've come to in the Vedic traditions is the idea that, oh my God, the illusion that we experience as the material world is the eternal self. Like there is no separation. And that's the thing that's going to set you free, is to realize that you are already in the state of unity. You're already in the state of peace. It was just your attachment to these earthly things, these thoughts that were negative, these emotions of anxiety, that you placed all of your focus on, that was governing your inner state. But if you learn to let go and you learn to surrender and you learn to seek that state, that heavenly state within that is this eternal presence, it is literally a stillness. Like, ladies and gentlemen, you will hollow yourself out. That is why in the Bible they say, hollow thyself. Remove all the chaos inside, and you remove it by stop feeding it. And one of the easiest ways to stop feeding it is spend time consuming more heavenly, more whole content, right? WHOLE. That's what people say. We're trying to fill a God-shaped void with earthly things, and that will never happen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand what this divine union is with God. And it's a divine union with life. It is the act of thinking that there's a separate entity that is the reason we are forever missing the truth right in front of us. Like, ladies and gentlemen, you are one with life right now when you still your mind. You are one with life right now when you still your breath and calm your body. You are already there. The kingdom of heaven is within. It is your natural state, ladies and gentlemen. Man was created in the image of God. You have to do nothing. You have to just slow down. You don't have to go be someone new. You don't have to change anything about who you are. This is the good news that they talk about in the Bible, is like you are already forgiven. And when you realize this, it sets yourself free. You are no longer bound by the attachments that you once had to smoking weed to fill that inner void, or drinking alcohol because it causes suffering. The only reason we're attached to those things is because they gave us a moment of temporary relief. But when you anchor yourself in this eternal truth by focusing on heavenly things, you were forever set free. You forever have a path to the state that you once sought. But you need to realize that it's within yourself. And it's within yourself when you free yourself and forgive yourself from your entrapments to these earthly things. You need to realize that it's not about changing that. It's not about crucifying that. It's not even about justifying it. It's just about accepting it as it is. Because if you accept something that is good and you accept something that is bad, no diversity in there. Maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. No discrimination between the good and the bad things. You are free. Some days I wake up and I am not in this state. I am just as confused as you guys. Other days I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, it's so simple. How did I miss that? And both of those experiences are okay too. But it's about the pursuit. It's about seeking the kingdom of heaven within. Because on both the good days and the bad days, I'm going within to try and find this state. I could be better at meditating. I could be better at making YouTube videos. I could be better at X, Y, and Z. But it's that mindset telling me I need to be anyone other than who I am that's creating this separation. And it's this separation that makes me feel empty on the inside. I'm like, oh my God, Grant's alone in this grand universe and I don't know what's going on. And when I have that inner void, then I go to the negative habits. Then I go to the things to numb myself. This is why the spiritual path is the only path. And the spiritual path is the letting go of the illusion. It is the unlearning of everything we've been told. In the Vedic traditions, it says, seek that which is beyond all change. We are looking for a state that is eternal, that is permanent. The self, the eternal. We are seeking this divine union with the eternal self. This is the same exact thing as seeking the kingdom of God first, and the rest shall be added unto you. This is where you need to have an open heart and an open mind and stop being governed by these fucking bullshit structures that are causing you all this suffering. Because when you accept everything as it is and listen to your soul and go within for that divine gnosis and that union, it will set you free. It will literally set you free. But it's going to require courage. And it's going to require a letting go and surrendering. You can't be afraid about being cast down by some man in the sky. You can't be afraid about the days you wake up and you feel a little anxiety. You have to have courage. You have to walk through the fire. This is the purification process. It will burn, but it will set you free. It will literally set you free. Seek that which is beyond all change, the self, the eternal self. That eternal self is within, and you find it in meditation. But it is a state of stillness. Stay with me right now. Just take some deep breaths, slow your mind, and silent your mind. Deep breaths to calm the nervous system in the body. And I want you to dissolve into the moment. Just become one with your surroundings. Focus on my voice. Notice the subtle changes in your environment. Do not judge them, just observe them. Do not cast your judgments or your opinions or your ego's mind upon it. This stillness is the eternal self. It is union. It is wholeness. Because in the process of asking you to slow down and to silence your mind and to calm your body, I was asking you to stop feeling a state of separation. I was asking you to dissolve into the moment. I was asking you to become one with what is. And ladies and gentlemen, in the present moment is all we have. It's the only place where reality is happening. So in this moment is going to be the only place that I will be able to find the kingdom of heaven. Because it will not be low here or low there, like Jesus says, for the kingdom of heaven is within you. And it is that eternal state of self, that patience, that presence, and that stillness that unveils the secrets of the universe to you. That, oh my God, maybe I'm good as I am. In this Justin Bieber song, I Think You're Special. He opens the song, he's like, just know you're already forgiven. You don't have to go the distance. Take the power you've been given. Don't you know that all of us are destined? Breaking all the rules like they weren't made for you. That's the secret, ladies and gentlemen, is you're already forgiven. You don't have to go the distance. You don't got to climb the ladder. You don't got to go achieve anything. You don't have to be anyone other than who you are. Don't you know that all of us are destined? We're all created in the image of God. So this enlightened state is nothing special. It's really not anything special. It's just the death of the performative nature of things, the trying to come across as some saint, trying to come across as some hero, trying to come across as Al-Mahdi Atreides, Duke of Arrakis. Everyone's got the Messiah complex. It is what it is. But just realize that these states are natural. It is your God-given right to find this. And it will set you free. In Taoism, it says, to the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. If we can get you to slow down and still your mind, and in this eternal present moment, the entire universe surrenders. Because it was your distortion and your inner chaos that was causing all the suffering. And because you didn't have a aligned heavenly state and you were focused on the earthly things, you forever had this God-shaped void within and this inner chaos, causing you to entrap yourself further in the material world. You'd go to the partying, you'd go to the junk food, you'd go to the cheap dopamine, you'd seek comfort and run away from that emptiness that we felt. But I realized we have to do nothing. We don't have to earn this state. It's our God-given right. All we have to do is surrender the illusion. So ladies and gentlemen, in the past, I may have told you how to manifest and how to reprogram your mind, which is all cool. Like, that stuff's out there, but this is a layer deeper. This is the true stuff that will set you free. I found the spot, you know? The kingdom of heaven is right here. And it's an emotional experience when you just free yourself. So spend time with me. I'm gonna get you there. You are gonna get yourself there. That's for sure, because the kingdom of heaven is within. In Sufi and Islamic mysticism, it says, what you seek is seeking you. That's from Rumi, a famous poet. And in a traditional Sufi saying, it says, he who knows himself knows his Lord. In Christian mysticism, it says, the eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me. In Vedic traditions, it says, Atman is Brahman. The material world is the eternal self. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 eternal truths from 3 separate religions telling you the same exact thing. You are no separate from the eternal state. You are no separate from the eternal self. You are no separate from the kingdom of heaven that is right here, right now. And this is what sets you free. It is the death of all paradox. It is the death of duality. It is the death of good and bad. And you are renewed in this state. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick moment because if you want to actually master these principles in everyday life, I'm hosting a live workshop that is completely free this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you show up, we're gonna break down everything detachment, surrender, and letting go so you can break free from these old, outdated identities. You can let go of your unconscious limiting beliefs, and you can finally step into the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. I'm gonna do it by breaking down super simple 3 tools that you can use in everyday life to actually start living these teachings and not just consuming them in the form of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Now back to the video. The unified patterns across all these traditions are we have to withdraw from the external. If you have done the meditations, the visualizations, the affirmations, and you still can't seem to manifest your dream life and change it for the better, it's not your fault. You are battling unseen principles of quantum physics that keep 98% of people trapped in old, outdated, energetic programs. So over the course of this video, I'm going to give you a simple 5-step protocol you can use every day to master quantum physics and manifest your dream life. Now, my name's Grant, and over the last 4 years, I've dove down every rabbit hole in regards to quantum physics, manifestation, neuroscience, and spirituality to come to true realizations that have changed my life for the better, because I used to be $80,000 in debt, 40 pounds overweight. I was addicted to substance, and I was so depressed I did not think I would ever make it out of the grave that I dug for myself. 4 years later, I'm living my dream life in Mexico. I have my dream business. And I finally found a sense of peace, joy, and fulfillment to where my life is enough. And I can turn around and hopefully give you guys the wisdom that changed my life for the better. Now, before I give you the manifestation protocol, I need to break down this old, outdated paradigm that you're likely stuck in too, so you can overcome these old patterns and change your life for the better. To do this, we are going to start at the fabric of reality. It's time for you to truly understand the quantum model and not just all the buzzwords or the trigger words that all these influencers and gurus are using. Now, we need to realize that everything is energy. 99.9% of reality is actually different frequencies and vibrations manifesting as sounds, as light, as matter. Even the physical things that you can see, touch, and feel hold a frequency and vibration. Now, this goes all the way back centuries ago to Descartes, the philosopher, the scientist. He used to believe that the universe operated in a mechanistic model, that you give A input and it leads to B output, and that the universe was set in stone and all we can see, touch, and feel, and that of science, is the only thing going on. Well, sages have led us to a deeper truth throughout all times, and finally, science and quantum physics is starting to prove this. And this is what Joe Dispenza brings to life when he highlights the quantum model, right? The quantum model is the idea that we do not have that old, outdated concept of the atom that we used to do in science class, right? Where the protons, neutrons, and electrons are orbiting the nucleus, and it's just this solid form of matter that makes up reality. That's not the case. What we've come to realize is that the universe is all energy, and it's all manifesting from this quantum model that we can see in the electron cloud. Now, the electron cloud is 99.9% energy. And the only time a particle manifests in the electron cloud is if it's influenced through observation. Now, the reason this is important to understand is because the electron cloud exists both as energetic potential in the form of a wave, right? A frequency, something we can't see. It's pure energetic potential. But it can also exist as a particle. It can be collapsed into physical matter. This means that the version of yourself that you hold in your mind, the version of yourself that you can see and feel in the form of dreams and goals and aspirations, is real. And you're tapping into that energetic frequency in this quantum field. But we need to figure out how to get into the quantum field and extract that version of ourselves. So let's break down how energy is actually manifesting into our everyday life. But I'm going to start from the top. Let's start from the end now. At the top of this image, you'll see the unified field, the singularity, the oneness, the source energy, or the observer. As you can see, it's labeled through all the different labels that we perceive in the form of religion and spirituality and science and quantum physics. It's the place where life is unified and there is no separation. This is the state that we are after, because in the quantum field, all potentials exist, right? Everybody, everyone, everything, everywhere, and every time is existing at once. Now, the only reason this even is a potential is because it is no thing. Because it is no thing, it is pure potential. It has the opportunity to become something that you want. It has the opportunity to become an experience that you are after. Now, the issue is most people are stuck deeper on this graph. They're so consumed with matter, right? They're so engaged in the material world, their spirit and their soul is trapped. They're stuck in states of anger, fear, guilt, shame, and control. And they believe that it's the only way life is going to be. And this doubles back on that old, outdated paradigm of the universe from Descartes. This is life. It is just set in stone, and we cannot change. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is false, and you can change. But we need to figure out how to have you break this old, outdated identity that you hold, right? You find this identity in the people, places, and things that you are used to in everyday life. Now, as we look at this graph about losing yourself in nothing to become everything, we need to realize that most people are stuck in the material 3D world, the reality of the Newtonian world, right? People hold the consciousness or the awareness or observation of somebody, right? That somebody is Grant right here. I identified with the $80,000 of debt. I identified with the fact I was overweight. It exists as someone, right? Attachment to a love interest that we're after. It exists as something, our desire for a watch, a car, our desire to be somewhere. You see how we're trapped in this paradigm and we're only existing in the material world, which is low frequency energy? Now, we need to figure out how to get through this door to the quantum field where we can become pure consciousness. Now that's a big word, but pure consciousness is the ability to be present now, to where we're not identifying with our thoughts, to where we're not identifying with our old, outdated emotions. And when we can truly become present and we can tap into this potential, we are nobody because we're not identifying with that old version of ourselves. Grant no longer identified with the $80,000 in debt and the fact he was overweight. We're no longer identifying with people, places, and things in our environment, right? We're not identifying with the stress that our boss dumps on our plate when a work deadline comes up. We're not identifying with the need to be on vacation because we just want to escape our cubicle. We're not identifying with time because time is a construct. All we have is the present moment. So you're so desperate to manifest now that it's still keeping you trapped in this old material 3D world. Now we need to realize that the door you're looking to go through is where you can free yourself from these things. And that's where we step into the immaterial world, the 5D reality of the unified field. Now, what is this state? Because it says everybody, everyone, everything, everywhere, and every time. When you are so present and you are so whole, where you are literally still and your mind has no thoughts and your emotions do not govern your body, you are truly present. And when you are truly present, you are right here in this moment. You begin to tap into this unified field of potential where you can take conscious action to get to where you want to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to figure out how to escape the trap of the 3D material world and you want to step through the door of pure consciousness and end up in the unified state of wholeness, where you can experience peace, abundance, and freedom, I want you to click the first link in the description. Because I've got over 200 people in my Telegram channel and I just dropped a 15-minute guided meditation so you can use the transformational principles of surrender, letting go, and detachment to let go of these old, outdated paradigms, keeping you attached to the material world. And you can step into the state of nobody, no one, no thing through meditation, and you can find wholeness. And in this wholeness, all potential exists. Where you, through manifesting and attaining that state through everyday practices, will have access to the potential to collapse your dream life into experience. So click that first link in the description, join the Telegram, and get the free 15-minute guided meditation. Let's get back to the video. Now the issue is everyone is living in the program, right? This program is the thing that governs the material world. And it's validated every day through the people, places, and things that keep us trapped in that old Newtonian paradigm, right? So in this present moment, when you are attached and identifying with your negative thoughts and your self-limiting beliefs and your desires for a watch and your desires for a Ferrari, you're reprogramming that scarcity and that lack in the now, which makes your future, the tomorrow, predictable through this automatic program. Because you not have taken the time to slow down, to detach from those things, to become present, to be like, oh my God, I was so focused on what I don't have. I was numbing that sense of emptiness. I was numbing that sense of scarcity. I was numbing that sense of lack. So no wonder I never had the opportunity to take the direction and the places I want to go. When I was $80,000 in debt, I was so identified with that. I would numb myself. I'd smoke weed because I couldn't deal with the emotion I was experiencing because I thought I failed. But as soon as I disidentified with that emotion, I restored my energy to the present moment. And I was no longer dictated by the automatic program of the past. So in the now, I can make a new decision, which is what you see as an unknown event, something new that you can manifest or experience in your life because you finally hopped off this predictable wheel of your identity living in the past. Now, before I show you how to step into this unknown to where you are in a state of presence and you can tap into infinite potential and create that energetic state that you're after, which is manifesting as your desires for a new reality, I need to break down why 98% of people are stuck in these old paradigms, right? So we need to understand how we use energy in everyday life, right? Because our universal currency is energy. Think about it. Our time that we invest is energy. Our attention that we invest is focus, is energy. So if we're not careful about where we're allocating our resources, then we're going to be stuck in that same program that we're trying to grow from. Now we need to figure out how to get beyond the analytical mind, because the analytical mind doesn't have power. It's only operating 5%, because imagine you were aware of the billion bits of information that you're picking up at all times. You'd go schizophrenic, right? So we need to figure out how to get below this into the 95% deeper depths of our brain, right? The alpha states, the theta states, the delta states. We're more naturally at peace, and our heart and mind are in an autonomic nervous system, right? Or a state where we're experiencing more baseline senses of peace and our ability to use creative energy to make conscious decisions instead of our ability to enter sympathetic states where it's fight or flight and survival and fear and guilt and lack. Because if we don't do that, then we're going to forever be run by the 95% programs and habits that underlie everything. Now, What things are validating this old, outdated pattern in everyday life? Well, we need to realize it's the outer world. It's our identification with that Newtonian outdated paradigm, physical reality, right? Look at this graph. Look at all the 101 different things that are siphoning your energy out of this moment right now. Look at all the things that you could be using to bring your energy back into the now and free yourself from attachments to your job, your boss, your coworkers, your enemies, your car, the news, the emails, the Facebook, the YouTube. We are experiencing a war for our attention. And if we are unconscious of it, then we're going to be giving micro percentages of our energy throughout the day to these things. And we'll never have the energy to step out of survival to create the experience that we want in the present moment. Let's look at this graph again. When you're living in the program, that automatic program of yesterday, that you are re-experiencing through your attachment to the people, places, and things in the material world will be validated once again tomorrow. Now, if you're siphoning your energy out of this present moment, then you will never be able to use your energy to create the desired states you want. So let's hop into the protocol about how we can enter the sweet spot of the generous present moment, where you have no familiar past governing you and you have no predictable future. Now, this is the unknown, but it's not unknown, it's just the present moment. Because in this present moment, you are at peace. And it's generous because it's infinite potential to collapse the reality you want to experience, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. You were just doing a good job manifesting the old program, and you never took the time to become present and to come back and tap into the now, because the now is where all the magic happens. Now is your connection to life. It's your connection to divinity. It's your connection to the source energy that guides all things. It is your natural state. In Dr. Strange, they say, you cannot beat a river into submission. You must submit to the river, and then you can use its powers as your own, and this is exactly the transformational bridge that you must walk. Your ego is trying to control things. It's trying to seek change in the outer world because you feel an inner sense of scarcity and lack. Well, if in this moment, the present, the only place we have, we can surrender and let go of that old, outdated paradigm governing our life, we are set free. And when we are set free, we are no longer attached to people, places, and things we once had as desires. And all of our energy comes back to this moment because we are whole. We are whole in the now. And when you are whole, you are free. You're manifesting 100% of your energy in the form of potential now. But you don't have to do anything, it's natural. When you are doing nothing, you have the potential for everything. That's the paradox in it. That's where most people get stuck. So we need to once again figure out how to cross this bridge from our attachment to the material 3D world, the reality of the Newtonian world, to that through the door of the quantum field is pure consciousness, right? The immaterial 5D reality is the thing that lies on the other side. And in this present moment where you're tapped into that infinite potential, you have the opportunity to experience new things, to go to new places, to make more money, because you're no longer governed by the old thought patterns and emotions that were keeping you trapped in your old paradigm. This is the entire mindset shift we need to have, but we need to go back to this graph again to better understand how we're going to walk through that door. Now, you need to realize that the only thing that I've taken away from all of the teachings over 4 years, the only protocol you will ever need to manifest, is surrender. It's let go. Because this graph is the map of consciousness. Now, most people are in a dense state. Think about what dense things are, right? If you're holding on to weight, a lower frequency, right? Think about a 100-pound kettlebell. That's a lot of compressed, dense frequency to make up that matter and hold that amount of weight here. Now think about it. The lower states of energy, if you look at the graph, through our attachments to somebody, to someone, to something, to somewhere and some time, think about it. Those material things are validating our lower states of fear, of guilt, of shame, of suffering. But it's because we're holding on to those expressions in the material world. We are victims because we're allowing somebody from our past, an ex, a terrible boss, a friend that said a mean comment to you. We're reliving those experiences in the form of a program in our mind and our body, which is keeping us programmed to experience the old, outdated thing in the now. Now, when you let go, you detach from these things. Detachment is the thing that makes you feel lighter because you're no longer holding on to the denser states. You're going to more naturally, effortlessly rise into the higher states. Think about it. The more you let go, the more you detach, the less you are governed by things of the material world, the more effortlessly you're going to rise into the higher states. Because guess what? You thought you wanted the sports car. You thought you wanted the watch. You thought you wanted the apartment. But what you actually wanted to experience was freedom. What you wanted to experience was wholeness, that you finally validated your existence to this world. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That is our default state. We need to do nothing to earn that. Man was created in the image of God. Look at that. The unified field, the singularity, the oneness, the source, the energy, the observer. It is our natural state, ladies and gentlemen. But it's our attachment to the material world that is keeping us anchored, preventing us from experiencing bliss, preventing us from experiencing freedom, preventing us from experiencing love and joy. Because we are forever looking for those things in an external person, place, or thing, an external source. But when you let go of the external source, you realize you are now the source of what you once sought. Because through finding peace now, through becoming whole now, through meditating now, you are free. You have the thing that you're looking for in those external material places and things. But it's going to require us detaching with all the different lower energy manifestations. And we do this through meditation, right? This is why Joe Dispenza has us meditate. And when you get good at meditation, this is why he has you do walking meditations, where you go out into the everyday world and you now have the sun on your skin and the birds chirping in the background. And your life is no longer governed by your attachment to negative thoughts, by your attachment to negative emotions. So, first step, we're going to have to overcome the matter, right? Our attachment to people, places, and things. Then we're going to have to overcome that of patterns, right? These are patterns in the form of thoughts, negative thoughts, self-limiting beliefs. Think about it. When I was $80,000 in debt, I kept trying to run the same clothing brand that got me the debt. And it was never the thing that was going to get me out of that pattern. And then I started working with creators and I started making exponentially more money. But it's because I freed myself from that pattern. We have to free ourselves from the patterns of emotions, right? If you don't get a text back and you feel scarcity because you wanted to get love from that person you were attached to, then you are attached to that person in the form of matter and that pattern in the form of scarcity that you're generating through that external source. So you're forever plugged into things outside of yourself that are governing your state. Now, the more we let go and the more we step through this door of no body, no one, no thing, no matter, and no time, we enter the energetic states that are available right now. Because think about it, everything is manifesting from the electron cloud. Everything is manifesting from that unified field. And what's ultimately close to the unified field? Well, the first step down from the unified field is wholeness. That makes sense because unified is whole. And the more you feel whole, the more you're going to feel bliss and freedom. Because there's no things outside of yourself keeping you trapped. Now, the threats are at the lower stages. But as you can see, above disidentification with your body, right, your emotions and your thoughts, your identification with someone outside of yourself, your boss, your romantic partner, your kids, that identity you hold in your mind, identifications with things, cars, the material world, watches, places, right? Vacations you want to go, places you want to see, and time. When you need to have happiness, right? Because we're trying to manifest, be like, oh, I want to make $100,000 in 30 days. Well, what's $100,000 going to give you? Freedom. Okay, well, how long is it going to take me to get that freedom? Well, in that old outdated pattern, 30 days. Well, what if you free yourself from the need to make $100,000? That's actually the barrier to entry to experiencing freedom. Then you have no time and you experience the freedom now. Now, the beautiful thing is that when you start to exist in this state of wholeness, everything becomes a blessing on top of it because the universe is fruitful. You become the source of what you seek, and what you frequently, or your frequency is what you frequently see, ladies and gentlemen. So when you're holding a frequency of appreciation, gratitude, joy, and love, guess what's going to be default manifested back to you through physical experiences? That. But I wanted to show you that it all comes back to this moment. In this moment right now where I'm sitting here on camera with you, I must detach from my need to have a viral video. I must detach from my need to be back in San Diego even though I'm in Mexico. And then I can truly be here and enjoy the golden hour and enjoy the fact that I get to run my dream business and make videos for you all and connect with you. My life is peaceful because I'm whole. I have no need to change anything else. I'm good as I am right now. And this is the energy you're after. So you probably thought I was going to give you some secret to manifesting more money, manifesting more watches, and manifesting more cars. But ladies and gentlemen, the secret is manifestation is keeping you stuck. You can set yourself free now. This is why Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. This is why they said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and the rest shall be added unto you. Because when you go intentionally seek out the higher states, the more divine principles through conscious thought, you're already in the state you were looking for. And then the rest shall be added unto you. Because you've solved the game of life. You can be present. You can enjoy it now. You meet a stranger on the street. You don't need anything from them. You're going to give them love. And that's what's going to make you attractive. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't manifest Don't worry about it. Let go of your need to be anywhere else. Start putting these principles into action. And if you want to learn how to surrender and let go and enter these higher level states where we can get closer to passing through the door of pure consciousness and step into the unified state that is life, I want you to click the first link in the description and join my Telegram channel, because I have a free 15-minute meditation. This free 15-minute meditation is going to guide you to a state of wholeness through surrender and letting go. It's going to free you from the old, outdated paradigm, and people are already seeing crazy results from this. I launched this maybe 36 hours ago, and I got a comment saying, "Hey Grant, I wake up every day depressed and I'm anxious, and I found your videos and did your meditation, and you restored energy and you restored focus." Well, I didn't do that. That person did that. But it was because through they let go, the act of letting go, the act of surrendering. And that's what I want to help you with. So go do that 15-minute meditation, and you're going to experience the true transformational protocol of everything I just talked about in this video. And it will be the thing that sets you free. And you will feel like the richest person on earth. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got nothing but love and peace for you. And I'll see you in the next one. We out. If you ever feel like your mind keeps pulling you back into anxiety, fear, or overthinking, you're not broken. There is literally a wiring process in your brain that strengthens everything you repeatedly focus on. Now, what if I told you that there's a habit that you could do every day and instantly restore inner peace? And not only is it confirmed by neuroscience, but these practices are brought to life through transformational and spiritual principles found in the Bible and wisdom passed down from the greatest sages of all time. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use this practice correctly, have your mind renewed, and experience the power of focusing on heavenly things, watching your life be instantly changed as a result of it. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind." So let's break down this verse and get us one step closer to using this everyday practice to transform our life and rewire our brain for inner peace. Now, most people think anxiety is something they just have, right? They have endless work stress. They have endless stress from the responsibilities of a household and family. They think life is supposed to be in this chronic state of burden. But life is not supposed to be like that. And what most people do not realize is that what you place your attention on, you are wiring your brain to repetitively see more of in everyday life. The more consistently you wire your brain to experience anxiety, to experience stress, to place your focus on these worldly things, the more your body is going to start feeling this emotion. The more you're going to be programming your entire biological operating system to benchline this as your version of homeostasis, right? Homeostasis is the base level of comfortability that your body seeks out. But through repetition, we might wire bad habits like stress, chronic anxiety, self-limiting beliefs into our everyday life because we are just focused on it. Now, repeated attention on fear is going to wire fear. Repeated attention on pressure is going to continuously wire pressure into our everyday life. Now, if attention helped build it, redirecting our attention is going to begin undoing it. Now, neuroscience proves that the process of rewiring your brain actually starts in the process of stopping thinking the thoughts that normally wire your brain into a familiar system, right? So we need to realize that when the Bible says, "Do not be conformed by this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind," the first step to experiencing the process of rewiring your brain using heavenly things, the more divine states that we naturally have access to because man was created in the image of God, is that realizing we are not victims to this world. We do not need to be conformed by the allures of the material things in everyday life. We do not need to be slaves to the stress. We do not need to be slaves to the 9 to 5. We do not need to be slaves to the endless consumerism sold to us in the form of doom scrolling, endless online shopping, endless pursuit for more. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn how to step into the state where you can actually renew your mind and begin rewiring your brain for peace, I want you to click the first link in the description. I have a Telegram with over 270 people learning to surrender and detach of the worldly things and repattern their mind by focusing on the heavenly principles of surrender and letting go. So if you want a free 15-minute guided meditation where you can actually begin to enter the state where you will find the kingdom of heaven within, click the first link in the description and I'll see you in the Telegram channel. Now back to the video. Let's step into how we can use the mechanism where we can combine neuroscience and scripture found in the Bible to unlock true transformation in our brain through the renewal of our minds. So what does this look like? Now, in the Bible, in Proverbs 23:7, it says, "As he thinketh in his heart, so is he." And now this is building off of, do not be conformed by this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, if he's focused on those worldly things that we alluded to, then he will naturally pattern or mirror that stress, naturally pattern or mirror those self-limiting beliefs, naturally pattern or mirror the scarcity. So we need to remove our focus from the external world. When we remove our focus from the external world, we can place them on heavenly things. This is why the kingdom of heaven is found within, ladies and gentlemen, because going within and dwelling with the Spirit and seeking that eternal seat of consciousness and awareness and unity with the divine and God is the thing that truly sets you free. Because you are no longer conformed by this world, because you have removed your entire attachment to it. You have freed yourself from the conformity. You have freed yourself from the material things that dwindle in their finite nature. And you've gone to the eternal place within yourself. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and the rest shall be added unto you. You're being called to seek this eternal state of the kingdom within, to seek a unified relationship with God in everyday life, and everything will be added unto you. But you're so focused on everything being added unto you, you're missing the part where you live a kingdom first type of lifestyle. Now, this is what it says across all spiritual traditions, all religious traditions. One of the easiest ways to see it is in the Bible. It's the most famous book and text of all time. It is literally a step-by-step guide to being renewed in the presence of divinity, to being renewed in the presence of spirit, to seeing what happens to your life when it is naturally repatterned in the divine order. Because the divinity is working at all times. There is a divine natural intelligence behind all of life. It is God's eternal presence guiding all things, right? It's what causes the sun to rise and the sun to set, the waves to crash on the shore and return to the sea, the flowers to bloom in spring, the leaves to fall during the fall. There's a natural intelligence and cadence and rhythm to everyday life. But when we are conforming to this world, we are falling out of this alignment. We are falling out of this unity. Man is quote unquote falling from heaven, the kingdom within, to be conformed by this world, to be lost in the entrapments of lust and desire and materialism, and in the process, literally scrambling your brain like eggs in the process. This is why life is so confusing, because if you constantly focus on worldly chaos, your inner world mirrors chaos. But if you focus on higher truth, the brain can begin mirroring this peace. Now, we need to realize that the brain changes according to repeated focus. And this is what neuroscience calls neuroplasticity. What you consistently think about becomes easier to think about. Think about it if you get dropped off on a ski resort at the top of the mountain and you take one line down. The first time you do it, you're going to have to carve your way through the freshly powdered snow. But by the 10th time you do it, the path is going to be effortless on the way down. You've done it 10 times. It's already carved out for you. It's just going to be all downhill from there. Now, this goes both ways for both negativity and positive. This is why people are like, I need to change, but I'm trapped by my limiting beliefs. I'm trapped by this X. I'm trapped by the fact that I'll never be able to start a business and change my life. You see how you're placing your focus on those things out of shame, out of guilt, out of fear, and it's actually recreating it in your everyday life? You're using your neuroplasticity, or the ability to create new neural pathways in your brain, by focusing on the negativity, by focusing on the thing you don't want. And that's the thing causing all the suffering. Because these pathways strengthen through repetition. And what you repeatedly feel becomes easier to feel. So the more you think the thoughts, the more you have these feelings. The more you have these feelings, the more you're going to feel them. And the more you feel these feelings, the more you're going to think these thoughts. It becomes this vicious loop if we do not bring you back to a state of awareness or shift your focus by removing your conformity to the world and placing it on heavenly things. Now in the Bible, in Colossians 3:2, it says, set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. This is a call to arms, ladies and gentlemen. It's giving us a place to direct our attention. It's literally telling us what to do to experience this transformation. It's not just behavior change, it's attention change. Attention change is everything. Because you are pure awareness. This is what all the spiritual teachings talk about, is you are consciousness. You are not your thoughts, you are not your body, you are not your career title, you are not how many kids you have. You are the silent observer behind it all. This is what all spiritual truths point to. It is the spirit that dwells within. It is the eternal presence that can be awoken, right? This is what the awakening is. The awakening is what happens when you shift your focus and be like, oh my God, maybe I was created in the image of God. Maybe I am this innate natural intelligence that is in the form of awareness and consciousness beyond all things. And the more you start to place your attention on that indwelling spirit, on that indwelling presence, you unify yourself. You're back to unity. You're not identified with the illusions. You're not conforming to the material world. You have awoken the kingdom of heaven within, ladies and gentlemen. Now, earthly things can mean obsessions with status, comparison, money, fear, approval, scarcity. It even is living in the tomorrow. But things above can mean place your focus on peace, right? The fact that peace is something that comes from within. It's not relying upon the external world. Place your focus on truth, the divine principle that guides all life. Spend your time researching spirituality. Spend your time engaging with content like this. Place your focus on these things because they will begin to repattern your mind. Focus on your faith. Trust that this divine intelligence, that God is operating through all things. Focus on gratitude and love and sufficiency. Realize that this life is enough. This life is fruitful. And focus on presence. This is the core transformational piece of it all, because your life is only happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. The goal is to be right here, right now. Now, let's reframe this through a kingdom first type of lifestyle, because Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Right? This is why we said it's not about behavior change. It's not about action change. It's about attention change. And attention change is one of the most profound transformative things. So many people seek outer change first, right? They want the partner, they want the job, they want the money, they want the car. And then they'll have time for God and they take care of their own well-being and their peace of mind. That's not going to work. Because as soon as you get those things, you're going to realize they're empty. And then you're going to self-sabotage and get rid of those things because they never filled the God-shaped void you had within. Now let's reverse this order, because kingdom first means it's an inner order first. You need to be focused on higher principle through spending your time reading the Bible or engaging with whatever spiritual practices set you free and make you feel whole. You need to spend time choosing peace. You need to get rid of people that cause stress. You need to leave jobs that cause you stress. You need to eat healthy food because it gives you a clear mind and makes your body feel peace of mind when you experience shame and stress and brain fog when you eat like terrible. This is putting alignment first. It's putting wholeness first. This is a way of life. This is why it is the way, the truth, and the life. Because Jesus is a reflection of a way of being. Jesus came to these realizations first. He went within. He realized he was God. But he realized that it was through his eternal awareness. That when he dissolved his ego, that when he spent all of his time in transformational practices, he realized that his identification with the material world and his conformity to it was the illusion. It was the trap. And he realized that the kingdom of heaven is right here, right now, when you free yourself from those things. It is naturally unveiled to you. You do not have to earn that right. It is something you are given, because man was created in the image of God. We are all the same. People consider this blasphemy, but it's not. It's the truth. And if you actually want to experience this transformational wisdom, you have to walk this path. You have to walk the way. You have to walk the truth. You have to live the life. Because it's a direct path to transformation. It's a direct map to the kingdom of heaven, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in Matthew 6:34 it says, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Much anxiety comes from mentally living in futures that do not exist yet. The mind leaves the moment and enters this imagined threat, right? This threat could be anxiety, it could be fear, it could be lack because you think your life needs to change when you accomplish these goals. But it gets addressed directly. It says, do not worry about tomorrow because tomorrow will handle itself. This is a restoration of faith. This is a restoration of trust. And when you do this, peace returns. When attention returns to the now. Because when you are present in this moment, you are experiencing presence. You're experiencing what happens to be in the now. And when you are being here now, you unify yourself with God and life. Because your mind is not dragging you tomorrow, or it's not judging yesterday. But it's going to require you shifting your attention to focus on these things, ladies and gentlemen. But the body calms in this present reality. Because it's not living out those patterns of scarcity, fear, and lack that you've programmed into yourself, because it's coming back to this moment, because the kingdom of heaven is right here, right now. And the peace naturally restores itself. Now you need to realize that peace is not random. Peace is stabilized presence and focus. It's what happens when you do the work on your mind, you do the work on your body, and you've trained yourself to be able to be in this present moment and live these principles, because truth and attention are connected. In the Bible, it says that you keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. A mind stayed is a mind of sustained attention. By placing your focus on God, the divine intelligence, and the heavenly principles that are right here, right now, ladies and gentlemen. But most people struggle to see them because they're so focused on worldly things. They're conforming to the illusions of the ego. They're just sucking them into the matrix of the world. Now, scattered attention creates scattered emotion. Because your mind is running all over the place and you're internalizing 101 different threats, your body enters this survival state. Fight or flight takes over immediately. But when you can anchor that attention, you can create peace, and you're not swayed from your state of center. You're not swayed from your state of awareness. Now, in Bible 2 Corinthians 10:5, it says, "Take every thought captive." Now, this means that not every thought is truth. Not every thought deserves agreement. Many thoughts are conditioned loops. So you have to notice the thought, you have to question the thought, you have to replace the thought, and you have to withdraw the energy from the thought. This is what it is to be mindful. But most people are mindless. People aren't aware, and they don't even know that they're not aware. So you have to spend time training yourself to become aware of how you have thoughts come up that engage you. And because it engages you, it sucks your energy out. And when it sucks your energy out, you're left with less battery, more emotionally distraught. So you need to become aware of this process. You need to take every thought captive and become aware of these things going on in your everyday life. Now, I have a practical 3-step fix for you. So, number 1, you just got to notice what has your attention. What did your mind idolize today, right? Was it the fear? Was it the pressure? Was it the lack? Was it the seeking approval? And you need to withdraw from this lower focus is step 2. So you need to slow down. You need to breathe, and you need to take every thought captive and become aware of that loop, right? Step 3 is to place your mind on higher truth. You need to realize that this is a higher principle for a reason. Truth does not need you to defend it. You do not need to be in the comments arguing over what verses in the Bible or what spiritual teachers are wrong and what spiritual teachers are fake idols. Like, truth needs no defense. It's bigger than any form of text, any form of religious figure. It does not need defense. Now, anxiety often grows where attention habitually sways into unconsciousness. So you need to realize that when you are unaware, you're conforming to worldly things. You're just being sucked into the patterns of focusing on the money, the success, the anxiety, the lack. But we need to remember that what repeatedly holds your focus begins shaping your identity. So if you're unconscious and you're just naturally engaging those worldly things, you're going to be trapped. But if you start to bring back your awareness, to bring back your attention, to bring back your focus, to become conscious of, you are now aware, and you can start redirecting your attention. And this is where we renew the mind and the brain follows. We do this through a kingdom first form of attention and a pathway second form of action, right? And then the results follow, right? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and the rest shall be added unto you. Seek a heavenly focus on God first. Live the righteous path, the way, the truth, and the life, and the rest shall be added unto you. Inner peace is not found later. It is practiced now, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you see how you can truly renew your mind and unlock an everyday state of peace of mind and freedom and abundance when you place your mind on the eternal principles that have been here for all of eternity, just merely highlighted and illuminated by the greatest sages of all time. I got nothing but love and peace for you, and I'll see you in the next one. We out. I used to believe that life would forever be a string of endless hustle and grind. And I told myself, one day when I got my business to a sustainable level of income, then I'd be able to slow down and prioritize my peace of mind, do my mindfulness practices, eat clean, get in shape. But unfortunately, that day never came because there was something fundamentally wrong about my inner world and my beliefs and how I was operating in everyday life. I would wake up with my heart racing and my mind moving at 100 miles an hour, like it had a mind of its own, unironically. It'd be 7 a.m. and I'd turn over and I'd want to turn over and go back to bed, but I'd be living out the 11:30 a.m. meeting I had, or the fact that I had a launch in 4 days and I was bearing the weight of all of this burden. And I think one of the greatest lies we've ever been sold is that hustle and grind will be the thing that eventually gives us freedom. But it's really just some type of sick mechanism of consumerism and marketing telling you that, hey, like you need X, Y, and Z to finally be free, to finally be whole, and to finally have peace now. And when I truly mastered the teachings of surrender and letting go and began implementing them in my own life, my mind, body, and soul changed for good. Because surrender is a present moment act. And one of the greatest limiting beliefs about it is that it's an act of doing nothing. It is not that. It is an act of moving through life with an inner sense of peace and freedom. So over the course of this video, I'm going to teach you how you can use letting go, detachment, and surrender to set yourself free. But we need to anchor this first. You need to realize that you must let go to a power greater than yourself. You must surrender to God or the divine source that is yours. I'm not going to be the one to tell you what God to believe in, because it's all referring to the same eternal source. But there's a quote in Taoism that goes, to speak of the eternal Tao is the not, or isn't the true Tao. So I'm going to teach you how through surrender, detachment, and letting go, you can enter a place of stillness, or in the Bible it says, be still and know that I am God. Because in order to truly experience the power of surrender, you need to detach. You need to let go of the chaos in your mind. Your brain has something called the default mode network. And it's that inner narrator. It's the version of yourself that rolls over at 7 a.m. already narrating the 11:30 meeting. It's the version of yourself that triggers the anxiety attack right when you wake up, right? It doesn't allow your body to rest because your mind is always racing. So you enter a state of fight or flight, survival. Now, the only way that I've truly been able to anchor stillness and anchor the practice of letting go in my life is through surrendering to a power greater than myself. Now, we do this by realizing that stillness comes first and everything follows. And this is the first piece of wisdom you have to understand. This is why we have the saying that being precedes knowing. So the likely place that you are stuck is that you are overly consuming the material, right? Reading the Bible verses, reading the Joe Dispenza, watching the YouTube videos, listening to the podcast, thinking that it's going to help you. But the more you engage those teachings, I'm sure you're coming to the realization that it does not work. That's because these teachings are forever a degree separate from an internal experience. So I want you to understand that being is a first degree experience. It's where you are one with life and you internalize the experience in that moment. The second degree experience is the game of telephone, where you turn around and tell someone that it happened, right? So think about what podcasts and YouTube videos and newsletters and all of these teachings are. They're second degree pieces of information. Now, some people do a better job at verbalizing it than others, but you need to realize that you need to step off of the second degree teachings into the unknown of the first degree teachings. The true source of your exhaustion is the fact that you are trying to run everything yourself. You've been carrying it, planning it, orchestrating it, controlling it. You've got the 10-finger necklace around life. You're choking it out because you're trying to find a solution to this inner sense of chaos. You're like, well, once my kids are good, then I'll be able to have peace of mind. Or once I get that raise at work, then I'll be able to have peace of mind. Or once my business crosses that revenue goal, then I'll have peace of mind. You see how you're subconsciously programming the state of lack into yourself? The mental shift of forever searching. When you truly surrender and let go, you restore yourself to this moment. And in this moment, you're no longer negotiating with life. You're no longer trying to control it. You restored faith in higher principle and a divine intelligence beyond yourself.
Now, for the average mind, and if we look at the map of consciousness, 0 being single-celled organisms and 1,000 being enlightenment, where Jesus, Krishna, and Buddha were at, level 400 is logic and reason. And I tell you this because this is something I struggle with. The positive states of being are on the other side of the ego trying to justify our place in this world. And our logical mind will never be able to fully conceptualize the concept of surrender. So you're going to have to let go of the control. You're going to have to let go of the need to understand. You're going to let go of the need of being the one in control, right? You're trying to be a god to your own life, and that will never work. And the reason you're watching this video is because you've made it to your wit's end of this way of life. And the greatest challenge you're going to face is overcoming that old identity that you've programmed for decades on end, right? My audience is all older than you. So one, I'm grateful that you entrust a young man like me to pass down some wisdom on my journey of surrender and letting go. But I'm also going to tell you that the tools you've used to create the life you have, to create the level of success you have, to create the experience you've had are going to be the things that we need to let go of to get you to where you want to go. And that's why I make these videos, because my goal with these videos is to introduce you to this state. And this state exists before any of the 101 pieces of the material world that we engage with, right? You can have peace before you place a label or a thought upon it. You can have peace before you enter the chaotic work meeting that you've been planning 2 weeks for. You can have peace and freedom before you hit a certain level of revenue success. This is a state that we curate through an inner place of awareness. And this inner awareness comes back to that Bible quote, which is be still and know that I am God. I'm going to break that down. Be still is a state of being, right? Being is a first degree level of experience. So the only thing you need to do is focus on stillness. That is the only thing you should be doing. Be still. And in that stillness, you must know I am God. You will come to the revelation that in that stillness, that the state of I am, right? I am is a descriptor we place before a state. You will enter a state of unity. You will enter a state of harmony. You will enter a state of peace the more you engage with this stillness. And that will be the thing that sets you free. That's why I'm so blessed I get to make these videos, because I've been talking for around 8.5 minutes and it sets me free. My act of devotional service to you guys is actually the thing that sets me free. So you need to figure out what things in your everyday life make surrender effortless. If it's watching my video, you need to learn how to carry out that feeling that you derive internally into the next thing you do. Learn to surrender when you do the dishes. Learn to surrender when you have to have a tough conversation with your employees. Learn to surrender when you're going into a stressful work presentation and you're pitching some of your biggest clients. You need to realize that you can be free. And in this inner freedom, you received everything you once looked for externally. Because you're no longer attached to the revenue goal, the shiny objects, the validation from people in your company, the validation from romantic partners. You freed yourself of all the things that once took your energy, took your focus, took your time, and took your awareness. And you've placed your attention on heavenly things. And these heavenly things set you free because they are the eternal states of truth. They are the foundation of all reality. So all the businesses, all the philosophies, all the psychological understandings of the human mind are the game of telephone after this state of being. So I encourage you to continue to let go, to set yourself free. And in that process, you will find everything you once sought elsewhere.
Now, I know I talk a lot about surrender, and you're probably in a space where you're at wit's end of everything your logical mind and ego has tried to grasp for control over and logically try and find a solution to, and you're actually ready to experience the letting go within your body where you can finally feel safe and you can no longer feel like you're clenching on to life, the inner experience of freedom in your thoughts and your mind. So if you want to learn how to actually surrender and let go, I encourage you to join my Telegram. I've got over 300 people in there, and I send you messages every day so we can make sure we're engaging the practices as a community and learning to surrender, let go, and set ourselves free. So go check out the first link in the description and join the Telegram, and let's go from there. I'll see you in the next one. We out. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. Heaven and hell are not places that we enter in a future date. heaven and hell are actually states of consciousness that we experience in our nervous system in this present moment. Now, you need to realize that peace, safety, and coherence, where life just falls into this effortless flow, is attainable. It is attained through kingdom first living, where the kingdom of heaven is unveiled to us in this moment. But fear, chaos, and the ego's fragmentation is what causes us to suffer the state of hell now. This is why in Luke 17:21, it says, "The kingdom of God is within you." Why would we be called to the idea that the kingdom of heaven is within? Because in Gnosticism, it tells us that the prison or hell is unconsciousness, living a life as a slave to the impulses and the mindlessness that we can get carried away in through obsession with the flesh. In Taoism, it says harmony and disharmony are lived in this present moment. So we need to realize that if we do not have an inner protocol or an inner practice through spiritual living, then we are going to naturally descend into disorder and chaos, and life will feel like hell. Our nervous system will become dysregulated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, quick side note. If you want to go from an inner state of chaos to actually kingdom first like living that all the greatest sages talk about, where you have a regulated nervous system, your mind calms down, you enter the kingdom of heaven within and experience peace, I want you to click the first link in the description. Join my Telegram with almost 300 people, and in there, I'm going to give you a free custom guided meditation protocol where you will get 7 custom guided meditations to where you're at and the things you need to surrender and let go of. If you struggle with anxiety, self-limiting beliefs, addictions, this tool is going to customize a roadmap to you specifically, and I just launched it today. It is completely free because I want to serve you on this journey. So go join the Telegram with over 300 people, and I'm excited to help you on your journey to transformation. Now back to the video. Now let's talk about the question humanity has asked for all of time. Where is heaven and where is hell? Are they places? Or are they states you enter through perception and embodiment of higher principle? Now, ancients used to ask this question about cosmology, right? They would look to the stars for answers to understand the heavens, but in modern day living, we must ask the question psychologically and spiritually. In Christian mysticism, heaven is unification with the divine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the only moment we have is this present moment. That's the teaching in all of it. The only place life is happening is right here. The future is an illusion created by your ego. The past is an illusion created by your ego. So, when you're in a higher state of consciousness, where's the only place you're existing? Now. That's why it's called a state of being. Now, in this mysticism, it's about union with the divine. That's why in the Bible we're called to go to the kingdom of heaven within, or to seek God and his righteousness, and the rest shall be added unto us. But hell is when we're separated from this state of being, when we're separated from this higher level consciousness, which is our divine state. It's just where we are one with life. It's unity, right? Now in Gnosticism, salvation is awakening from this false perception. Now, in order to truly understand how we can step out of this state of hell, right? Hell probably looks like this for most people right now. They're super burnt out. I have a lot of people that message me like, hey Grant, like I have everything I want. I have a high paying corporate tech job. I'm from Austin, Texas. I have my dream house. I have a family. Life is good, but on the inside, I feel dysregulated. I feel this inner chaos and I feel disconnected and in this state of survival. How can someone that has everything materially or everything that society sells us feel so dysregulated and uncontent on the inside, or incontent? I don't know the verbiage for that. That's because if we do not live this kingdom first type of lifestyle, where we go inside and seek inner order and inner coherence, we're going to forever feel like we're in a state of hell or in a state of dysregulation. Now, biologically, the nervous system is your communication network. Psychologically, it's regulated based on safety and threat. So if we've been in this disconnected state where we're disconnected from our source, we're disconnected from God, we're disconnected from our sense of self and our state of being, then we're psychologically going to perceive a threat. When we perceive this threat, our body goes into survival mode and it starts consuming energy and dysregulating the nervous system to step into the part of the nervous system that's responsible for bringing all of your energy to this moment and entering tunnel vision to make sure you're not going to get attacked by some perceived threat. Now, spiritually, this is the interface between consciousness and form. When you're obsessed with the material world, when you're obsessed with that raise to go from $300,000 a year to $500,000 a year, and you finally become a VP of your firm, or you're focused on going from the townhouse to the multi-million-dollar estate so you can host these backyard parties on Sunday so your social circle thinks you're on top of the world. You're engaged with the interface of form, right? Your ego is consumed by the outer world. But in spiritual... Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. The voice is going out. If you're not engaged or focused on the state of being in the form of consciousness, right? To be aware, to be here now, to be engaged with the sense of self, then you're forever going to be entrapped with the material world of illusion, the material world of hell. Now, if you're in a dysregulated state, this translates into chemistry, that translates into a bodily sensation, that translates into a belief, which becomes your embodied reality. Now, in Christian mysticism, it says that the body can become temple or prison, depending on your consciousness, right? This all comes down to your practices. And your practices are a product of your beliefs. Sorry, this is totally not a professional video, but we just like to hang out. It becomes a prison when you're a slave to the material world, when you're a slave to the flesh, when you're a slave to desire. Because it starts to operate this hellish nervous system pattern out, where you can't control your impulses. You set a goal to get in shape and you don't do it. It's so easy to go get that Kit Kat from the bar or from the pantry, but your dopamine receptors are so messed up that you can't even eat vegetables or an apple to get the same satiating experience. In Taoism, the body mirrors inner imbalance or inner harmony. So we need to define heaven and what that looks like in everyday life for you. So you can start implementing the practices to have this experience. Now, in Christianity, it's unity with God. In Buddhism, it's freedom from suffering. In mysticism, it's wholeness and union. In neuroscience, it's regulated coherence. In psychology, it's presence and integrating the shadow, right? Integrating the concepts of our ego and self that we cast away. At the nervous system level, it's safety, openness, and connection. Now, I need to highlight all of these different teachings because it's just not one size fits all. You need to have union with your spiritual source, like Christianity, with God. You need to free yourself from suffering and attachment to material desires, like it says in Buddhism. And the way you do this is through entering a state of wholeness and union, like it says in mysticism. And when you enter this wholeness and union, you experience the neuroscience benefit of a regulated, coherent nervous system, mind, body, and soul. You see how they're all interworking? The issue is people try and, because they're in a survival state, they're looking for one size fits all type of solution to their suffering. So they're going to hold on to one principle and siphon all the energy out of it like it's the only source of this transformational material, but it's not. Now in Taoism, it says heaven is alignment with the way, right? The way are these principles where we bring the attachment or the detachment from desire, the detachment from material things, the detachment from suffering. It's where we experience union with our divine source. It's where we experience regulated coherence, right? So we need to initiate practices in our everyday life that kind of facilitate this state. And in Gnosticism, heaven is remembering your true nature. This is probably the most profound thing you'll do, which is reconnecting with your source, reconnecting with your sense of self. Now we need to define hell. And the way we're going to do this is to tell you what version of your life we need to stray away from. The practices that we need to let go of, the practices that we need to surrender, the identity that we need to surrender. Because in Christianity, it's separation from God. In Buddhism, it's samsara, or cycles of suffering, right? It's this karmic loop. It's a loop of your addictions to food. It's a loop of your addictions to smoking weed. It's a loop of your addictions to drinking. In trauma science, this is chronic survival mode, right? In psychology, it's a fractured identity. It's where the version of yourself that you wear as a mask to show the world is completely different than who you are because you're still a slave to your impulses, your limiting beliefs, your anxieties, and your traumas. You've fractured your identity into multiple halves, parts that you hide from the world and parts that you show the world to compensate for the version of yourself that you're hiding. And the nervous system level, this is a threat, right? This is collapse. This is panic, and this is numbness. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the Mexico tax. That is a big truck. All right, we're gonna move the camera this way. Once again, not a professional production setting, but here we are. Much love regardless. You can come a little closer. Now, in the Bible it says, for to be carnally minded is death. The carnal mind, right? This is like the egoic, flesh-driven mind. But to be spiritually minded is life and peace. That's Romans 8:6. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is right there. To be carnally minded, to be forever focused on the material things, the desires of the flesh, is death. It's literal death. You're going to enter hell through nervous system, through spiritual practice, through the multiple dimensions of mind, body, and soul that you have. You'll be experiencing hell if you are carnally minded. But if you are spiritually minded and engage these practices, you will have life and peace. Gnosticism says that hell is the ignorance of the true self. Well, to ignore the true self means you need to be focused on the false self. The false self is the identification with success. It's the identification with a $300,000 a year high-paying corporate tech job, the downtown San Diego apartment, the validation from your social circle because you finally got that BMW or Mercedes. Congratulations, you got a Rolex. Now what? Now you just got gold handcuffs. Trust me, I've been there. That's why I'm on this path. I was a slave to myself. I smoked so much weed, I drank. I was making a lot of money running a creator business, but I was, let's just say in hell, for lack of a better word, right? That's what we're talking about. Now in Taoism, hell is resisting the way, and it's living against the way, right? It's ignoring your true self. It's ignoring the meditation. It's ignoring the journaling. And it's ignoring eating clean and going to the gym and taking care of your body and getting off social media because it messes with your dopamine. Now, the first state we need to transform is our perception, right? Our perception is how we view ourselves. People do not see reality as it is. They see reality through their nervous system state, right? If they're unconscious and they're in a state of survival, then they're going to forever be a victim to this state. Fear filters reality into a threat. Shame filters reality into rejection. But peace filters reality into possibility. Regulated bodies perceive more clearly. So this is why in the Bible it says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." To become pure in heart, you must set out with the proper intention, and that is to set out with humility, to know that you may not have the answer right now, and to know that these principles are waiting to be called upon in your everyday life. So you enter life with an open heart and an open mind, and you purify yourself by rejecting the carnal mind, by rejecting the egoic self, by rejecting whatever society tells you is the proper life, because it's not, ladies and gentlemen. The reason I highlight all these teachings from Buddhism to Christian mysticism to Christianity to Taoism is because we need all the answers. There are spiritually gifted people from every avenue of life. I'm sorry, this is going to just be a raw video. And I hope you're getting something from it. This is just casual. I'm not trying to be some fancy creator. I'm just here trying to tell you the truth. In Taoism, it says, "Muddy waters clear when left alone." So the first call to action is stillness, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. The way we enter this is through letting go and surrendering, right? We have to detach from the identity that has a dysregulated nervous system. We have to detach from the thoughts, emotions, actions, and behaviors regulating the state of hell internally. Now let's talk about how you're going to transition from hell to heaven, because you do not merely think your way out. This is where everyone's stuck. They're watching these videos. They might be getting a few simple practices in, but they're still trying to think their way out. They're like, yeah, I need to regulate my nervous system. I need to meditate. I need to have a connection with God. That's thinking your way out. Doing it looks completely different, because in meditation, you are still. You are not accepting the voice in your mind, which is completely different than thinking. So doing is completely different than thinking. You have to regulate your way out. It is a moment-to-moment practice. It is a moment-to-moment act of surrender, an act of embodiment. You practice your way out, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to learn how to do these practices, go click the first link in the description, because I have a Telegram with almost 300 people in it, and we're learning to practice these things daily. And I just launched a custom surrender protocol tool that you can use to get a custom 7-step guided meditation roadmap. And I build a roadmap to all your custom questions and answers. So I'm going to ask you a few simple questions about the things you want to detach from, the things you're struggling with. And it's going to build you a custom roadmap on things you actually need to do to transition from hell to heaven. So go check that out, because I just built that in the last 36 hours. Your peace must become physiological, right? It must manifest in your body, and we do this through practices. We don't think our way out of it. Our mind and our body and our soul are one entity. They're one unit. So we can't neglect. In Christianity, this is kingdom first living. This is inner order first. In mysticism, this is where you embody union. It's not theoretical. So the first step we do this to go from hell to heaven is awareness, right? We need to recognize that anxiety is not the ultimate truth. We need to recognize that fear can be unconditioned. We need to recognize that old emotions are memory loops. Because awareness interrupts the trance, ladies and gentlemen. It breaks the pattern. Because witnessing weakens the identification, because you're like, wait a second, I'm in a different state perceiving the old version of myself, and now I look completely different. In Gnosticism, it says to know yourself is to begin freedom. The sun keeps encroaching, ladies and gentlemen, so we're gonna keep moving. Bear with me. I got nothing but love if you made it this far. So step 2 after awareness is regulation, right? This is breath work, this is grounding, this is stillness, this is safe connection, this is presence in the body. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot coach you or teach you how to do these practices from YouTube videos because I need to be in your presence to guide you through that state, which is why I have my Telegram, which is why I have these guided meditation protocols so you can start to do it on your own. So please take advantage of the resources I'm giving you. I'm gonna dedicate my life to this. So 20 years from now, you're gonna see the same Grant having the same conversation, just more evolved and hopefully more Dumbledore-like. My goal is to be Dumbledore by the time I pass and to leave you guys something. So my YouTube channel and all my assets are left to the world to help people go from hell to heaven. Now, when you engage with breathwork, grounding, and stillness, you find a safe connection. You find presence in the body and your nervous system learns safety. This is where in the Bible it says, be still and know that I am God. All right, ladies and gentlemen, bingo, here we go. Ding, 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 we're starting to get to the state now. You start regulating yourself after you increase your awareness, and then you start to be still and realize, I am God. This is how you enter union. You need to realize that you are no separate, that you are forgiven, that you, by the sole act of being alive and being here, are created in the image of God. You are literally existing in God's creation right now. You don't have to do anything or think your way into that. It just is. And when you recognize that as truth, your stillness is going to restore order in your body. Now, step 3 is renewing our perception, because as our state changes, our sight changes. We stop projecting our past pains or our future worries onto the present moment, because we can finally discern clearly. We can respond instead of react. We can reclaim authorship of meaning. And these things all happen naturally based on your state of perception in your practice. This is where in the Bible it says, set your mind on heavenly things above. Because in Gnosticism, higher sight comes from inner awakening. It comes from going within and realizing these things that the teachings are telling you. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is realizing that heaven is alignment. Heaven is not just a feeling. It is sustained through practice. It is through trusting your body, through trusting your perception, acting without fear, living from wholeness. And through doing this, this is what the Christian mystics talk about when they say union with God is inner coherence. Now, this is how you overcome hell, because you're no longer reactive. You're no longer addicted to chaos as your default state. You're no longer bound to these distorted egoic stories. You're present instead of panicked. You're clear instead of confused. And you're free instead of conditioned. Both are happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. Heaven is not only after death. Hell is not only punishment later. It's all happening right now, because the only moment is the present moment. When you accept this, you'll begin to transform. Both are lived now. Both are rehearsed now. Both are embodied now. Daily choices strengthen one or the other. So this is why you must seek the inner kingdom now, not later. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you truly want to practice these things, once again, go click the first link in the description and join my Telegram so you can get that free guided surrender protocol, because I'm going to give you 7 custom meditations. It's in the channel right now. We've got 300 people in there, all starting to practice this kingdom first type of living. So I want you to go take action and begin experiencing the transformation this life has for you. And hopefully my free tools do something. So I got nothing but love and peace for you, and I'm excited to continue with you on your journey of transformation. And I will see you in the next one. We out.
If you can actually learn how to trust God through suffering, your life will instantly be transformed before your eyes. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm sure life sometimes can feel super heavy, like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. You've got stressors in your life. You've got unknown paths that you're unsure about walking. Well, I want to teach you how you can actually learn to surrender and let go of the pain and suffering in this moment through your trust in God and through your trust in a source greater than oneself. Now, you need to realize that our true suffering comes from our focus on worldly things, right? For me, as an entrepreneur, this is stress on forecasting the next 60 to 90 days of what work are going to look like. For me, this is the fact that I'm moving and leaving Mexico in 6 weeks and I don't know what it's going to look like because I don't have a home back in San Diego, right? These are ways that I stack weight and suffering upon my everyday life because I'm placing my focus on these worldly things. I'm placing my focus on these impermanent events in time. And because I don't have an answer for them, and because it's a fleeting thing in my mind, I will always be rooted and anchored in this suffering and this anxiety and fear and worry that comes up within my mind and body. Now, I've implemented daily practices to really transform my day so I can walk through life with peace of mind, with faith, and with trust in a divine source greater than oneself. So
I want to walk you through that morning routine, and I'm going to tell you why it's so important with learning to trust in this divine source and God as the root and anchor of your everyday life. Now, I spend most of my days sometimes waking up with my heart racing or my mind going 100 miles an hour. And I know this is not me. Like, I know this is not my default state because it's like an old program in my body that's getting set off into action. Right? I roll over at 7:30 and I just feel this tension in my body. It's like my body's flooded with these stress hormones. I'm like, well, that's happening so instant. There's nothing stressing me because I just had a good night of sleep. So the first part of my morning routine is I will not get out of bed for 5 to 10 minutes until I've done some deep breathing, like so deep to the point that my brain is over-oxygenated and I'm not thinking any negative thoughts. And because I spend 5 to 10 minutes breathing, my nervous system can calm down. So I'm taking my power and I'm taking my energetic presence back from these unconscious loops and programs in everyday life. And this is my first thing that I do every morning. I want you to implement this in your day, because if you just get up and you're stressed and you go straight to the work emails, you go straight to the coffee pot and you go straight to rushing your way to getting ready to jump in the car to go to work, then you're just living out this program in real time. You're not coming back to this moment and finding presence in your body and calming your nervous system and finding peace in this moment, because that's the anchor that you want to move from, right? Now, we're going to dive further into my morning ritual. My first order of business is I have an app set up on my phone and my laptop where I cannot do any work until I've meditated for 20 minutes. I literally have to go into this web app that I built, click start, and meditate for 20 minutes before it unlocks anything. Now, this has become a great tool for me because meditation or prayer or the devotional act of just overcoming my ego in real time to unify myself with the present moment is my act of surrendering to God. It's my act of letting go. It's my act of faith. It's my act of trust. Because the only thing that causes us separation in this life are the chaotic thoughts in our mind and the anxious feelings in our body. Because think about it. When you are truly present and you are at peace, you are not disturbed. You have no need to worry about anything going on because you're just one with life. And when you do this, you fall into the natural flow of the divine cadence of things, right? The rhythm that is. This is an act of trust in God because you're saying, hey, if I'm living by my ego right now, if I'm falling into these unconscious loops and patterns, that's because I'm trying to edge God out. I'm in such a state of scarcity, lack, and anxiety that I'm suffering my way through my day in these unconscious patterns, trying to control everything, right? That is your ego in operation. Versus when you anchor your morning and you anchor your day in presence, you're saying, I have faith in a power greater than me. In this moment, the present is all I have, and I'm choosing to let go and be here now. I'm not going to do God's job. I'm not going to worry about his timing in my life. I'm going to slow down and I'm going to breathe into this moment, and I'm going to do the only thing that I can, which is surrender into his presence, surrender into the divine intelligent field that is guiding all things. Because think about it, your scarcity to expedite a timeline, or you're running away from this anxiety or negative thoughts in your body because your heart is racing and your mind is racing from when you woke up, carries out into your everyday life. So you don't even have the opportunity to fall back into the flow of things. So this is why I anchor my morning with a lot of presence. I do not give any form of external stimulus until I know that I've anchored myself in conscious awareness and my ability to be present with all of the things that are going to come. So after this, I journal, right? I write down things I'm grateful for. I write down things I want to let go of. I talk about kind of where I woke up and where I'm at now after 30 minutes of this morning ritual, and I can like truly see that I'm in a better state, right? So I'm bringing awareness to the fact that my morning ritual actually transformed my everyday life. I write down things that I want to surrender and let go of and free myself in my mind and body, right? These can be things related to work. These can be things related to my travels, things that I just have no control over of, that I would be naive to let my ego fixate on, right? So after that, I step into reading, right? So if you want to read the Bible, if you want to read a spiritual book, if you want to read a book on neuroscience, where you have some book that kind of allows you to anchor your sense of self through better understanding and knowing thyself, right? That's the spiritual phrase. That is another form of meditation. So literally the first 45 minutes to an hour, if not hour and a half of my morning is dedicated to anchoring myself in a presence with myself and a presence with my personal higher power. This sets the tone for the entirety of my day. This allows me to go into the content, to go into the work, to hop on calls with my team, and not be overly stressed or consumed with the fight or flight response in my body because I spent the first hour of my day in a devotional practice or my morning ritual of letting go and trusting God, right? But it requires action on my end. So I hope you can see how surrender and letting go and trust is not just you saying it in your mind. It's not you just saying, God, I trust you, please save me. You see how that's still coming from the fight or flight response in your nervous system? That's what we don't want. To actually trust God, to actually surrender and let go, is to engage in these devotional practices. It is to be like, hey, I know these are the practices that are going to make me better. I'm stepping into the unknown because I don't know what it's going to look like on the other side of this, but I'm still going to choose to do it. I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to let go of those thoughts that come in my body. I'm still going to make peace with the chaotic emotions that arise in this process. That is the act of trust, not just mentally telling yourself you need to trust. The true path of mastery is going from thinking to doing to being. Once you know what you need to do and you figure out how to do it, you engage the knowledge and experience in an active practice, and that allows you to master it over time. Because I've been doing this, and this has been my career for over 2 years, I've learned how to anchor this practice in the spiritual teachings in daily life within the first hour of my day. And the days I do not do it, and the days I take a break from it, I suffer immensely. I am not immune to the same type of suffering, or I'm not immune to suffering. The last 72 hours for me were super rough. And it's because I didn't anchor my day. I allowed my nervous system and thoughts to get out of control and dictate my day unconsciously. So this is me reporting to you live from a fresh 3 days in a row of re-anchoring my morning practice. And I'm telling you, this is how you let go, surrender, trust in a power greater than yourself. And in the process of doing this, you free yourself from suffering. It can happen immediately. So ladies and gentlemen, I've got nothing but love and peace for you. And if you want to learn how to anchor more of these daily practices and actually engage the practice of surrender and letting go, click the first link in the description. I've got a Telegram channel. You can join over 300 people of us walking this path daily, trying to become better and restore our life to a state of peace, freedom, and abundance, and trust in a power greater than oneself. So I'll see you in the next one. Be out.